So the Oklahoma Sooners, well, the university made a move that surprised college football fans, reporters, insiders, experts. And I'm not sure why it came off as a surprise or something that became this big of a topic. Because if you were an Oklahoma fan, I think we expected Brent Venables to get an extension. But there's been a lot of talk and conversation and everybody throwing their thoughts in the ring. It's time. I want to talk about it. I want to put my hat in there. I didn't think it was this going to be this big of a conversation, which is why I didn't initially make a video on it. But before we jump into it, as always, join the discussion. Let me know what you guys think. Whether you're a fan of Oklahoma or whether you're just a college football fan in general, did you expect Brent Venables to get a raise? And listen, Pete Thamel, he used the word significant raise, which went from 43 million to 51 million. So in my opinion, I didn't think that was significant. To me, significant would be like somewhere where he's making upwards to like $9-10 million a year. He ain't making $9-10 million a year yet. But this move for the Oklahoma Sooners, it really matters. And it's something that I think college football is kind of paying attention to, which is you're not giving up on your coach just yet. I think a lot of people had kind of, well, not Oklahoma fans, but college football fans were starting to kind of write Brent Venables off, especially after his 6-7 season. And although last year he won 10 games, it really felt like college football in general just they didn't believe Brent Venables was the right guy for the job. But Oklahoma fans, we felt completely different because Brent Venables came into Oklahoma and he changed the culture. He changed the way Lincoln Riley was running things here. And he brought Oklahoma back to what a lot of, the older folks that have watched Oklahoma for the past 20, 30, 40 years. And I only say older folks because I'm only 27. So I don't really remember Oklahoma outside of the past 15 years. Right. But, he brings Oklahoma back to that, back to what people remember. He's trying to bring Oklahoma back to that greatness. So he gets a deal that is valued up to $51.6 million. And he's going to be making about $8.5 million throughout the course of this deal, which I think I saw something that makes him like the 7th or 8th paid highest coach in the SEC, which is kind of crazy. But you're not really giving Brent Venables this extension for his on-field success yet. If you were going to give him an extension for his on-field success, you would have made that decision after this upcoming season. You're giving Brent Venables this extension for not only the little work he's done on the field so far, but the phenomenal work that he's done on the recruiting trail. Because remember, when he came in 2022, he came in towards the end of a recruiting cycle and pretty much helped save that class to give Oklahoma a top 10 class. Then he comes into 2023 and gets Oklahoma a top 5 class, and then comes back and follows that up in 2024 with another top 10 class. And right now, Oklahoma is currently sitting at number 8 in the 2025 rankings. And I would imagine Oklahoma is probably going to be somewhere in that 4 to 8 range, right? That's probably where they're going to finish depending on who commits. And by the way, Champion Barbecue, the returns are high already. Thinking about 2 or 3 commits already. So that's going to be exciting. Keep your guys' eyes out for that. We'll recap the Champion Barbecue on Sunday or Monday. But Brent Venables is an elite recruiter, and he has brought together a staff that does this really well. And so by giving Brent Venables this extension, by the way, don't you all think it's funny that this extension came literally the day that the Champion Barbecue was starting, the day that you were supposed to host your biggest recruiting event? I promise you that wasn't a coincidence, because you want to be able to show these recruits that are coming on campus, and more importantly, the parents, that you're in it for the long haul. Now, obviously, Brent Venables doesn't make that. I mean, he kind of makes that decision of being here for the long haul, but it shows the parents and the recruits that the university backs you as a head coach. So as long as you plan on being at the university for a long time, you now have backing to say, yeah, like this is going to be a long-term deal with Oklahoma. I'm not going anywhere. And they have some belief about that because the university is backing you. And so when you look at the extension and why Oklahoma's rivals or college football fans or experts or insiders might be a little shocked by this, it's because they're probably not thinking about it in the grand scheme of things. They're not thinking the bigger picture. They're just looking at that 6-7 season, the 10-win season that Oklahoma had last year with the bowl loss to Arizona, and saying, you lost to Kansas, which, hold on, we'll get to that here in a second. But, they see those two seasons of success and say, is that enough? Like, you're 16-10. Is that enough to get this big of a contract extension? And then you look at what Brent Venables did last season. And I saw a tweet by this from a guy. His name is, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I apologize if I get your name wrong, but he's a national college football writer for CBS Sports. It's Shahan Jarraj. But he said in 2023, Brent Venables is the third Oklahoma coach since 1933 to lose to Oklahoma State and Kansas State in the same season. In 1995, Howard Schnellenberger left to sell bonds. 1997, John Blake was fired 1 year later, out of football for 5 years. But in 2023, Venables gets the contract extension plus a raise. And the thing is, Kansas State and Oklahoma State were both ranked this season. They were both pretty good teams. Like, they were teams that I think could have competed at a national level. Oklahoma State had a rough start to the season, but they had a pretty good ending to the season, especially with the bowl win against A&M. You look at it like this and you say, again, you see what I mean. The college football writers, the insiders, the analysts, the experts, they're looking at it as an on-field success, not necessarily an on-field success plus recruiting. It's hard to find good recruiters. Ty over at Around the Table Sports mentioned something perfect, right? Yeah, like, you're going into the SEC, that's going to help your recruiting efforts a little bit. But there's a school like Vanderbilt out in the SEC. They're not recruiting at a exponentially great level. They're not recruiting better than most Big 12 teams. And they're in the SEC. It's hard to find good recruiters, guys that can consistently land you in the top 10. Joe Castiglione knows that. The Oklahoma Sooners Board of Regents knows that. And that's why Brent Venables got this contract extension. It matters what you do on the recruiting trail as well as what you do on the field. So, guys, I want to hear from y'all. Make sure you are joining the discussion, jumping down in the comments below, giving me your thoughts about the Brent Venables extension and raise. Additionally, if you guys have made it this far and you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like and you hit the subscribe button, because we're going to be talking a Champ U barbecue post weekend recap on Monday. And we're also going to be giving you class predictions with Coop from over at Unfair Sports later in the week as well. So you aren't going to want to miss any of it.